When you need a good book and everybody does, tune in to the Book Buzz.
When you need a good book and everybody does, tune in to the Book Buzz.
When you need a good book and everybody does, tune in to the Book Buzz. Book Buzzers, how's it going? Are y'all ready to buzz it up?
Who's not ready to talk about books? We're here and we're so excited to share some new titles with you. My name is Jamie Wright and I am the librarian at Jolie Johnson Elementary.
And I am Kristen Fournier. I'm the librarian at Forest North Elementary. We're both librarians in Round Rock ISD, and we would like to share some books with you today that are available in both of our libraries, but also in many other libraries around our district. So stay tuned for some good ones. Let's get it going.
What do you have up first?
Okay, well, first one I want to show you, if you're in Round Rock ISD, you know that this is a busy time in our elementary schools because we're working on our Armadillo Reader's Choice program. Do you know what? I don't have my little I have a stuffed animal armadillo that a student gave me, and I wish I had it right now to show you. I have a little stuffed animal, his name's Army, but he's at Forest North right now. And every year in kindergarten, first and second grade, we read 10 books, and then we pick our favorite and celebrate it. So I wanted to show a favorite of mine, not to influence the vote, but a favorite of mine this year. It's called Skulls. It's nonfiction, and it's written by Blair, Thornburgh, and illustrated by Scott Campbell. And if you're like my house, Scott Campbell's famous for the book The Hug Machine. I love that book. So it's got that same kind of illustrated, like watercolor style, but it's nonfiction, which kind of like throws you off in the beginning. So in the beginning, you probably don't think much about skulls, but every head of every person you've ever seen has a skull inside. And this is a good thing. So I love how they address it. Like, skulls aren't scary. You don't have to be afraid of them. And they actually do a lot of stuff for you. And nobody ever thanks them for it. They give your face a good shape. Are you thinking about my skull and my face shape right now? I bet you are. And also, they give you teeth for eating grilled cheese sandwiches. Did you know that National Grilled Cheese Day was this past Monday? So this is a perfect book to read right now.
I did not know that, but I love that you knew that that was.
We celebrated it in the cafeteria. I saw a sign on the cafeteria door. That's how I knew. Yeah, good old grilled cheese. So anyway, this book is funny. It's like nonfiction, but it's hilarious, like in a kind of weird way a little bit too. Like at the beginning, shout to the world, I love my skull. And I love reading it to kids because, you know, they're just, they don't have those inhibitions adult has. So they're like, yeah, I do. I love my skull. So it's a great book. How did your students take to it? What did you think?
Okay, well, we really like this, and also it's kind of fun to share Armadillo books because both Miss Fournier and I are on the Armadillo committee, so we get to choose this book, and they come with lessons. So if you're a teacher, just popping in, just
Google
know
it
that.
up.
Some of those lessons and extensions are really great. And this book lends itself so well to lessons and extensions and discussions about the human body, because we know that our K1 and 2 students are really curious about how everything works and how to keep themselves safe. And so, and plus it's super fun, and the illustrations really make that book a winner.
And grilled cheese sandwiches.
And grilled cheese sandwiches.
Oh, I love that one. Okay, now that we're hungry, what you got for us?
Well, I also have a nonfiction book to share. This one is called You're Invited to a Moth Ball, a Nighttime Insect Celebration. And it was written by Loree Griffin-Burns. And I really am entranced by this book because it tells you how you can actually have a moth ball, like a ball, like a party. So you can see, I love this illustration where they've got the sheet hanging up, and they talk to you about how you can have special lights to specifically attract them. And they show kids doing research, and there's bait that you can bring moths to, like it's mushy bananas and stuff. So they give you a recipe, and they show, look, they're painting the bait on their fence nearby to attract moths in advance. So you could do this with your neighborhood or your family, and they talk about specific types of lights, and they've got really good nonfiction text features and photographs. There are some gorgeous photographs to show you the different parts and the different types of moths. And there's this one. Well, I just love the photographs here to show you how you could set it all up.
That's
and
so cool.
Yeah, and there's a she's got a headlamp at night so she can really see. And they talk about being safe and not bothering the moths, but they also show you, like, if they were all visiting your sheet there, and then you have your light, and you can come and investigate them up close. And it's just such a great celebration of recognizing the outdoors and spending time in nature. It's got some really good back matter in the author's note and the photographer's note. It's got the bait recipes and just really, really fun. Oh, here are the text features I was thinking about. Good stuff, right? So it's just, and the text is so inviting too. It's just, hey, let's go celebrate and try this thing and enjoy this outdoor thing that we might not ever have stopped to notice. I love a book that makes me think about something new. So,
and it's so topical right now. Like, you know, my kids are little, and I'm trying, you know, we're trying to stay safe with COVID-19. We're trying to think of new, interesting things to do when we can't do a lot of the traditions that we've done and played forever. So I love new ideas of things we can do outside that are safe, that are unique, that, you know, I never would have dreamed to do that in my whole life. So that's fun. I want to try it now. Something cool and different we can do to try to make memories while we're not, you know, while we're mostly staying home.
And I feel like butterflies get a lot of love, so I like that it kicks it a little attention to the moths.
Yes. Yeah. When you first said mothball, I was like, mothballs? No, I get it. I get the joke. I get the joke. That's awesome. Oh, I know we have it at Forest North, but I haven't read that yet. I really have to. I had no clue that's what that was about. I have to read it. I love it. All right. Well, I've got another one for us. This is a chapter book, and you might notice from my bookmarks in here that I have not finished it. So don't judge me for that. But I don't care. Wholeheartedly recommend Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. So I am a big fan of Grace Lynn's early readers and her picture books, but Librarian Confession, I had not read any of her chapter books yet. And my first grader and I started reading this, I don't know, maybe like a month ago, and we read about 20 pages a night. And this book is incredible. It's about a little girl named Min Lee, and she lives with her two parents. She's an only child, and they are like barely getting by. Life doesn't feel so good. They are like counting the grains of rice. That's how limited they are on their food. So she decides, you know, her father is a storyteller. He tells a lot of interesting like folk tales and fairy tales to kind of make time go by as they're farming and as they're, you know, just day to day getting by. And Min Lee decides she's going to go try to find the mountain and the man of the moon to go see if she can change her family's fortune. And she ends up going on this amazing adventure. And my favorite part about this book is that a lot of times while she'll meet somebody and they'll be like, well, you know, it's like that story. And she'll be like, what? Oh, let me tell it to you. And then it immediately pops into the story of blah, 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 blah. And they tell you what's going on. I want to show you one of them. Here it is. So it just is literally in the middle of there. The story of the Buffalo Boy's friend. Like, let me tell you about it. So it's kind of fun to be able to switch. If you're reading with like someone that's a new reader, they can take over and just read the little tales, and then you can go back to narrating the regular story. So my daughter likes to, you know, kind of take a try for the tales within the tale. And it's just been so fun. This also, it won a Newbery Honor Book. So since then, they have these beautiful illustrations that are full color in here. I really doubt that if you have an early edition that it has that, but in a chapter book to have these full color illustrations, sorry, I'm trying to find one, are just amazing. We saw one just the other day that I was like, what? Look at this. So it's all these different tales going on. And it's also interesting, like growing up, I never heard Asian folklore. I don't know any of these things. I don't know any of the mythology. I don't have any background knowledge. So it's so fun to like learn this along with my daughter and to just build a whole new like cast of characters and stories and mythology that we hadn't experienced before. And that's Where the Mountain Meets the Moon.
It is such a gorgeous, gorgeous book. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Neyer's third grade class, because I know they just started reading this for their last Read Aloud book of the year, and they are loving it. Yes. And I just finished reading Grace Lynn's Before the Sword. It's a Mulan story, and it's so good. And it's not the same, but it is similar in that she's going on an adventure, and they also take time to go and tell stories of other characters, and it's so got fun. A fantasy bit in it. Love it. Great choice.
Her illustrative style is so, like, see the little swirls in the background too? Like, it's so indicative. What were we talking about? We were talking about Nikki Grimes, about that in our last episode. I love that too, where you have author illustrators that just have a distinctive style that you can pick up on it immediately, that it's them. They're just iconic, you know? So Grace Lynn is definitely one of those author illustrators for me.
She's got some, and then there's When the Sea Turned to Silver. If you really like that one, then you're looking for the next read.
Yeah,
she's got some great books.
because I was kind of when figuring out there's 3 of them, which one did I read first? And the more research I did, it said like really you can go in any order. They just all go together. So don't stress about it like I did.
It's the good stuff. I have a second book for you. This one is called When We Were Alone, and this is new to our library. It was written by David A. Robertson, and this is a book that I don't know that a lot of students would pick up to read, but I think this is a book that I really hope that teachers and families will pick up to read and discuss. And the story is that this isn't the main character. The main character is a young girl, and she asks her grandmother while they're together and spending time, she says, well, why do you wear your hair long? And kind of like in the book we were just talking about, she says, well, when I was a young girl, I was in a residential school because she's Cree. And so she was sent to a residential school where she said they cut our hair, even though that was a tradition, that is a tradition for us. But they cut our hair because they wanted us to be like the Americans. But the way they say it in the book is they wanted us to be like everybody else. And she says, well, okay, well, why do you speak in Cree? And she says, well, because when I was in school, when I was a girl, they didn't let us speak. But sometimes when we were alone, we would do this, like we would braid grass in our hair to make it long again. And we would whisper the words in Cree to each other, and that would make us happy. So now as an adult, I wear my hair as long as possible, and I speak Cree, and I see my family, and I uphold these traditions because this is who I am, and this is what makes me happy. So it's a story that opens a lot of conversation, even though it's very simple, simple illustrations and fairly simple text, but it really opens a lot of conversations, I think, for older students too, but even for younger students to consider what systems are existing that uphold individual people and groups, and what systems exist that oppress them or render them invisible. And that's a really big idea. And I think that our younger students can still access this, but our older students can really identify with a lot of these ideas and the injustice and a look at this history. So I think I'm really glad that we have this in our collection, and I hope that people do have more conversations about it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book to present the text simply, but there's just, like you were saying, there's so much to talk about behind it. I recorded this one in November, so if you are at Forest North, it's on my virtual library, so you can go check it out. It's a beautiful book.
It really is. I want to share this illustration that closes it up because it's simple and powerful and beautiful, and we love that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's an important story, and I'm glad that there are publishing opportunities out there now for these stories to be told, because they need to be, and we need to. And that's the only way that things are going to improve in our culture, that we hear these stories and think about them and process them and do better, Nice. Good choice. Good choice. I love that book. Good one. That's a really important book. All right. Well, on a totally different note, I have a book about zombies that I want to show you. Have you read Dead City ever, Miss Wright?
I have not read Dead City. Tell me more.
You know how you have a lot of students that are like, they want to read something scary, but like we are in elementary school, so it can't be super scary. This hits that sweet spot. Look at this cover. It's pretty good, huh? It's a pretty good cover. So this is a story about Molly, and this was a Bluebonnet book when it first came out. It's written by James Ponti, who is an incredible author. He has another series that's just started that's on the New York Times bestseller list now, but I had to take it back old school for this one. I know, because this was on the Bluebonnet. This is available in every library. And I want to start. Just let me just read you a couple sentences. You ready? Chapter 1. You're probably wondering why there's a dead body in the bathroom.
That is an amazing first sentence. Tell me more.
I hate zombies. I know that sounds prejudiced. I'm sure some zombies are really nice to kittens and love their parents, but it's been my experience that most are not the kind of people you want sending you friend requests. Consider my current situation. Instead of eating pizza with my teammates as they celebrate my surprise victory at the St. Andrews Prep fencing tournament, I'm trapped in a locker room toilet stall with a dead body. It's not exactly the Saturday I had planned. I wasn't even supposed to compete in the tournament. It's so good. Like, just from the get, you are like, what is happening? So Molly, I kind of don't even want to tell you much more than that, because it's just such a fun adventure to go on. But Molly ends up fighting some zombies, and she makes some friends. She finds out some surprising secrets about her family and her parents that she had no idea about. And it's just, it's a ride. It's so fun. I highly recommend it. Dead City. There's also, it's a series, so there's more. And book 2's Blue Moon. I know that we have that in both of our libraries as well. So go ahead and get started, people. You need to do it. It's good.
I think a lot of readers would be very intrigued by just the first page.
Yeah, right. I mean, it sucks you right in. It sucks you right in. I was actually so lucky to be on the Texas Bluebonnet Award selection committee when this one came across, and so we would get boxes of books. And it's really fun, but it's a lot of work too. And this one, I still distinctly remember just opening up and reading that first page and being like, what? Like, cancel Friday night plans. This is happening right now. This is it. It's happening. It's a great one.
I love that. I love that. My third one is not zombies. It is historical fiction. But I'm super excited to promote this by Jennifer Nielsen. I really like this author. This is A Night Divided, and it's set in Berlin, Germany, specifically in East Berlin. So the main character and her mother and one of her brothers are staying in East Berlin, while her father and her middle brother go to West Berlin to see family for the weekend. And overnight, the Berlin Wall goes up. And nobody ever really says anything, but it just becomes clear that they are not expected to move. There are armed guards on the wall, and they're wondering, how are we going to reconnect with our family? So they're not really allowed to look, because there are spaces, between the wall or like over the wall or in places. And so they're trying to make contact and hoping for a glimpse of her father and her. But if they're looking, they have certain things they're supposed to do. They're at home and they go to school and they're supposed to come home and that's it. They're not supposed to be wandering around the city. And the Nazis are taking control, and really just it's a terrifying time to be walking around in the city, because you never know. People are getting pulled off the street and being questioned, and sometimes they never are heard from again. Somebody tries to cross over the wall and is killed. So there's a lot of drama here about trying to reconnect. And I'm going to spoil this part, because the main character decides that she is going to try to make an escape. And obviously there's a lot of tension and yeah, it's not the safest plan in the world. And there are a lot of people watching, like your neighbors might be reporting on you. So if anybody sees you doing anything out of the ordinary, they could report you, and it could be the end for you or your family. So it's really fast paced, lots and lots of drama, and a great story. I think a lot of our history loving readers would like it, but even if you don't read a lot of historical fiction, I think you would still really enjoy the pacing in this book.
Yeah, it sounds like a really interesting one. I love that's just what's so cool about historical fiction, is you hear about something that really happened, like the Berlin Wall, and you think, but what if you had family on the other? This is what could have happened. Like, just imagining what could have happened if these situations were real. I wonder how like you think there were really families that happened to that got split up like that?
I wondered about that too, because it just seemed really impossible to me to think about a wall going up overnight and suddenly changing that abruptly. So I actually I looked that up a little bit, and it wasn't literally overnight, but it was really, the changes that happened very abruptly. And then once they were in place, it was very hard to change them back.
Wow.
And so it just got more and more restrictive for the people. And it's interesting, right? Like how do we let ourselves get into that space? So
yeah, that's a good one. I remember Scholastic promoting that one with the book fairs when it came out. So there's a good chance that one's probably in a lot of libraries around our district. Cool.
Yeah, and she's the author of Words on Fire as well, which
that's
is
right. That one also, they also promoted. That's right. Yeah, those are some good ones. I gotta hit those up. Thank you for that.
We like some historical fiction. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the historical fiction. I know it's not always popular with everybody, but I'm here to sell it because I think it's got so much really good stuff in there.
I do too.
My husband is a reader of history, of straight up history, and he'll be talking about things, and I'll say, "Well, did you know that whatever?" It's because I know it from historical fiction books for fifth graders.
It's like a really fun way to do research, like with storytelling inside,
You need a hook, right? For me, I can't just read a dry list of events that happen. I need to feel and care, and historical fiction does that for me. So
that's a great way to put it. I agree. Me too. So, Miss Wright, I heard a rumor that we have some special stuff to show off here at the end of our episode.
I
Did
am
you hear that
so
rumor?
proud and so thankful. Big shout out to Mr. Armstrong, third grade teacher at Jolie Johnson. He has recorded an amazing book talk for us from our campus. So thank you so much for representing Jolie Johnson, Mr. Armstrong. We appreciate it. So if you stick around at the end of our episode, you're going to get to see a bonus content with extra materials. So make sure you stick around for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great book too. When I saw what he did, I was like, why haven't we done that one yet? So good call, Mr. Armstrong. That's a great book. I appreciate it.
And I'm just going to add that if you don't cry when you read the book that he recommends, then you might want to have yourself examined for stone, because it's required that you cry when you read the book.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed. We also have some fan art to talk about today. We have a fan art. It's actually a fan this is her second time on fan art. This is a piece of art by Umaima. She is in third grade at Forest North, and it's our second sculpture we've had, though. What do you think about this, Miss Wright?
Okay, well, first of all, I love that we have a repeat artist. I love that. Thank you so much. And I also love the detail, and I like that it's so distinctive and not like the pieces we've seen before. So you're taking it to the next level.
Yeah, she is. She always is doing that. I love her. Yeah, I like the blue wings especially. I'm looking at it over here, but the blue wings are really special too. Beautiful. Great job, Umaima.
Super sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, we would love to hear from anybody else that would like to do a book talk for our Being a Reader segment, or if you have fan art, email it to Miss Wright or I. We would love it.
Well, that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Book Buzz. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we hope you find something to read today and every day that just makes your heart happy.
Hi, I'm Michael Armstrong, third grade teacher at Jolie Johnson Elementary. And one of my favorite books is by Kate DiCamillo, and it's The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. And that word journey is really important with this book. If you really like fiction stories that take you on an adventure all over the place, then you're really going to love this book. I always think of fiction stories should take you on an adventure, and this book certainly does that. It takes you all over the globe and follows the main character, who's Edward Tulane. He's a very special rabbit, and you get to learn all about him and his development. As he develops as a character, he really goes through a lot of changes. And of course, that's always exciting to see your characters that you're reading about going through changes. And that's exactly what happens in this book. Kate DiCamillo is a wonderful writer, and I love the way that she describes things. I don't want to spoil too much about the book, so I'm really going to just leave you with that.
When you need a good book and everybody does, tune in to the Book Buzz.
When you need a good book and everybody does, tune in to the Book Buzz.
When you need a good book and everybody does, tune in to the Book Buzz.